welcome back to the What the Falk Sunderland review show. It was a relatively different afternoon to the one I think most of us were expecting, as Sunderland played really well and ran out comfortable 3-1 winners over Stoke City at the Stadium Light. Look, the last few weeks have been heavy, and whilst we'll no doubt get heavy again at some point during this podcast, it's certainly nice to have a bit of a chin wag about just a good performance and 3 points, because ultimately, it's kind of what matters on a Saturday afternoon, isn't it? I think in a lot of ways. But to join me is three men you're fully used to, well, maybe not fully used to. First and foremost, Ross Black, how are we doing? You okay?
All right, mate. Yes, I'm very good. And as you say, it's been a rough month, hasn't it, or two, with things. And it was good to be in the stadium, enjoying what you were seeing for a nice change. And second half was, I really enjoyed the second half, the whole performance, and I just enjoyed my day for the first time at the Stadium Light for what feels like a long time.
I've gone full Phil Foden at Euro 2020 or 2021 as it was. So I've definitely had my midlife crisis. So the month has been tough, really tough. Brad, how are you, mate? I feel like it's been ages since you've been on, but I don't think it has been, mate. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. It's been pretty much the same amount of time as you have. I was on last week.
Was it? I don't know, mate. Honestly,
Yeah,
these weeks are
I'm good at
blending into
home
each
games.
other.
Yeah, I'm good. Echo what Ross says, really. I thought the second half today was more enjoyable than we've had for quite a while. Sure we'll go into it a bit better, bit further, but I enjoyed. I just enjoyed the game, really. I mean, first half was a bit meh, but second half, I don't know. We just seemed like we were getting forward at pace, and that's what we've been used to for the last 18 months, and it was more back to what we enjoy. So yeah, feeling really good.
Yeah, it was nice. Lee, it feels like it definitely has been a while since you've been on this show. Obviously, you've got your own, which people have been tuning into, but we speak every day, so I don't know why I'm asking how you are, mate, but let's pretend we don't. How are you? Are you all right?
It's probably the best I've felt in about 3 weeks, to be honest.
Is that why you're back? Is that why you're
It is
back?
bad. I just to echo what the lad said, I thought we played particularly well today, and really, really happy with the performance. And I gave credit where credit's due. I thought the team played really, really well, and the game was comfortable in the end.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Ross, it's the same question as we always ask right at the start, but it was a really comfortable afternoon, and if you take out everything that's been going on and the kind of heavy conversations that we've had, and rightly so have had, and look just at the game today, be it the players putting in performance, be it the manager getting it tactically right, or whatever it may have been, today was just back to what it should have been like, which is totally not what I expected. We've had a couple of hours to sit down, as it would be with you, and sort of think about the day and the result, whereas I've had those couple of hours on the train to sit back and think about what happened in the game. Now you've had a few hours to sit down and assess what was happened. Like, I know you said you're relatively happy about it, but how are you feeling now? You've got time to sit back and assess what was just nothing like what I think the afternoon any of us expected, in a really good way, if we're honest.
Yeah, I feel like 99% of people were asked on the way into the ground what they were feeling. I think a lot of it would be dread. Me and Brad had a pint beforehand, and we were like, "This could get toxic and violent there today if we go 1-0 down." I feel like that was the consensus between the whole fan base, but there was tweaks tactically, and the formation was different today, which helped us, I think. And also, I do think Stoke were a bit shit. Um, which it was also, especially in front of goal, they did have chances, but both teams had plenty of chances, and we were more clinical. Which to say that after what we've been basically slating them for not taking the chances, not having a striker finishing them, it just all seemed to come into place today at the least expected time, and when, let's be honest, everybody was expecting it to go, as you've said, the other way. So I am really happy. I'm really happy with getting the 3 points on the board, just to settle it down more than anything, because we just needed that win. And it was good to see where the goals came from today. There were three players who probably all needed a goal as well for different circumstances. And also, at the same time, we got a win, but it also hasn't papered over the cracks because people could still see, even though we won and it was a good performance, we still have some glaringly obvious gaps. So I feel like it was if we could have picked a way to win today and also show the hierarchy that we still need reinforcements going into the next week, then I think it couldn't have went much better, if I'm honest.
Yeah, honestly, it's not the podcast I expected to be doing, but I think I would like a board and a manager and a set of players and the wins to be completely happy. But ultimately, the priority thing for me every single weekend is that Sunderland win a game of football. And we've done that and done it well, and the players have played well. I don't know about you, Brad, but today's performance really reminded me of like the 3-1 win against Birmingham, I think it was, and also Norwich. I think beforehand we just put away with good attacking football a relatively poor team that didn't really lay that much of a glove on us. Maybe Stoke had a few more chances than those teams had, but I never felt like we weren't winning that today. And I thought, if I'm honest, if we really went for it, we could have probably put 4 or 5 past them at some point. But yeah, I mean, much more the kind of performance we were maybe used to under the October, September times under Tony Mowbray, which I think, ultimately is not that you want to replicate it, but it's a bit more like what we're used to, Brad, isn't it? That's probably the most pleasing aspect.
Yeah, definitely. I think there was a lot of good individual performances today, from players, especially who came under a lot of flack, who's been taking a lot of stick lately. So yeah, I mean everything about it. I think. Look, I'll not say that it was outstanding, because if Stoke had a striker who could finish the dinner, it might have been they got the first goal. But we stayed in it. We didn't really give them clear cut chances, I would say. We limited them to one or two little ones, and it was massive whoever got that first goal. And look, as soon as we got that first goal, and I've said it, I mean, take Ipswich out of it. I said I can't see us losing a game this season when we go ahead. Obviously, we've only done it once. And once we got that first goal, I just thought it was comfortable. The most pleasing thing about today for me, and I've said it already, is how quickly we managed to get from back to front. We weren't afraid of getting at their defence. I mean, I love the bloke, love him to bits, Lyndon Gooch. Um, I'm glad he's not playing right back for us anymore, if that's how he plays, because
I said that, and I love Gucci, and I really don't mean this, Gucci, and I'm sure you wouldn't have done this on purpose, but I said today, Brad, Linda Gooch played the way Sunderland supporters should play against Sunderland. So, like, my respect has gone up from even further. So, I don't think you meant no purpose, Gucci. Of course, you're a professional and always have been. But yeah, he had a tough time with Party today, didn't
yeah, I mean, it's partially down to their setup as well. I think they're the only team this season that haven't doubled up on Jack Clark, and it just shows you what he's capable of when you don't do that. Because I thought Clark was excellent today. I mean, back to Gooch quickly as well. Bless him. He did make up for the Stoke fans. He assisted their goal, didn't he? So he didn't want to make it look too obvious that he wasn't doing it for them. But yeah, I'm just happy overall. Like Ross said, it wasn't the performance where you go, "Oh, we've got a cracking team here." There's still a few little bits that we need to fill, but I'm happy. Stoke weren't great, and they're the type of games we've seen us lose in the past. We have seen us lose them, and we think, how have we lost it? I go back to Cardiff at home. There's one. Huddersfield, games like that, where you're just like, how on earth have we lost it? And we are capable of it, but equally, like the two games you touched on, and I said it was a bit of a reverse to the Preston game for me, where first half we blew Preston away, and then really nothing happened second half. I thought until the goal, not a lot was happening, but second half today was where we came right out and got at them, and they just couldn't live with it.
Lee, I think this, and people are going to go, agree with me, being negative, but like, I'm not going to go, we've had one really good win where I've been happy. And suddenly, like, everything's fine with management and all the other stuff. But look, we like to be as balanced as we can. and also give our opinions. And we often argue between ourselves in the group chat. Me and Brad's already had a Barney day already, if anyone's wondering about it. But I think no matter how you look at it, Lee, whether you want to give Bill a chance, you think, the players are showing more, you think that we need to move on and forget what the board did with the Black Cats bar, or you think we should, absolutely hammer them every single week and they should be questioning every single decision they have. As a fan, and also maybe the team itself, who I don't think we've lost any love for that much recently, how much was that just required for the club as a whole, no matter what you think of whoever in whatever position? Like, how much do you think that was required? Just a nice, comfortable, lovely 3-0 win, 3-1 win even.
It lifted the mood around the place. Because you see, a lot of people went into the game feeling dread of what's going to happen. And for the way we played, especially second half, it just lifted the whole place. And it was, yes, there's still a lot of work to be done, but it's a start. It's a start of hopefully it's a start and a turn in the right direction of where we want to be. Because I thought it'd be a banana skin today. I'm not going to lie, I thought it'd be a banana skin because I watched Stoke last week and they were very, very unlucky against Birmingham. So I thought if they come out against us now and they get an early goal, the place would go under. But when we withstood the early pressure, and especially that goal bang on half time, the mood changed instantly. Let's say that obviously, it's the whole cliche goals change games, but the goals just before and after half time, as soon as them happened, there was a feeling of joy going, we're going to win this game here. So everybody was happy around the place. And I'm not saying anything's been forgotten, it hasn't. But it's safe. What the most important thing is what happens on the pitch, ultimately. And you can't grumble at 3 points. And I think everyone's come away from the game happy, but with still questions to be asked. But by that, but I thought it lifted the mood around the place, and it was people walked away happy, which everyone should be after 3 points.
I think there was one thing that was nagging at me a bit, and maybe it shouldn't have been. I was thinking, what's Beale going to say after this? Is it going to be all about him and how he's lifted and how strikers have scored, Rusin scored and now Burstow scored under him? And I honestly, look, I'm not on the train of I like Michael Beale. Let's be honest about this here. But I thought his interview was good. I think he needs to start building some kind of bridge if he's going to be here. My personal hope is he isn't. But if he is going to be here, because it isn't my decision, he needs to throw, I think the cliche would be an olive branch. And whether I believe it or not, what he said in the interview about the fans, it's a start. A good performance followed by some nice chat about the fans. It's that easy. It's that easy not to mess stuff up.
That was my worst fear when I was walking out of the ground. I thought he's going to matter. It's all about him.
Mm-hmm.
Because after obviously he's bit back of what criticism he's getting this week. Rightful criticism, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like people overreacting.
Nope.
And I thought he's going to come out and make this all about him, but he didn't. He did exactly what we've been asking him to do for weeks. And when you're a manager of a very, very young squad, when it goes right, you put everything onto them. When it goes wrong, you put everything onto yourself. And he did exactly what we've been asking him to do for weeks. And it wasn't his LinkedIn garbage that normally pulls out of his mouth. It was of a person who's maybe took a back seat and had a thought and gone, maybe I was out of order. But as I'm saying, it all depends what happens next. It's a start. It's not a turn circle or anything like that. It's a start to hopeful turn circle, if that makes sense.
I think it's only fair if I dig out the stuff that he does that isn't great, that I also praise, even if it goes against my better nature of wanting to not really praise him, I thought his interview was really good. Ross, I'll move on to you next. You've got the non-short straw here. You've got the opposite of a short straw. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's a euphemism or not. I don't know. And I know what word I meant.
Long straw?
Long straw, aye. Long straw. So I think there's a lot of good performances today. As we know the rules, you get to pick one player and then the other person cannot pick them. Who are you taking for your praise? I think there's a lot of people you could pick today, to be honest.
Abdullah for me.
Yep.
I think the last 2 games he started, he's made 2 assists and a goal, so 3 assists and a goal in 2 starts. He should never have been taken off against Ipswich. Which seems to, by the way, I did laugh when I seen how Sheesh has just been banished, but he reckoned he was ill. But I thought he'd been put in Beale's dungeon or something.
Got the sniffles. Got the sniffles.
Aye.
Are you indicating Michael Beale has a dungeon? Because that's a really messed up analogy. Because you've put the wrong ideas in my head now. Like,
Probably not the best words to use, but
edit.
aye, he's still stuck under the bus that Michael Beale threw him under. But at the same time, he gave us width, pace. He was really good, and he played a bit more advanced. It seemed to me like we intentionally put Clark and Bar narrow but higher, and it worked. Defensively, he leaves us a bit scary, but in an attacking sense, that he was really good. And what I really enjoyed about Bar's performance today was I feel like he does some stuff a lot of the time where he gets in positions and then his final ball is just absolutely horrific, or it's like he gets a nosebleed and just like, oh, what do I do? But today his goal was took really well when you consider some of his misses, the one against Coventry, to have that composure, keep it down, put it in. Then the assist for his leap for Burstow assist. He's got a hell of a leap on him, to be fair. Abdullah, like you forget it he's not the tallest, but he can jump. And then the Ekwah goal pulled it back really well. But also there was one stage where we counter-attacked, and it looked for everybody was shouting, put it in for Burstow in the box, but he had like 3 defenders on him, and he actually got his head up and he just picked out Clark on the edge of the box, and Clark probably should have hit the target better. But I thought like that just summed up how good his game was today, because he's getting his head up, his decision making's better, and his final product's getting there. So he's one of them players with Abdullah Bar where he's so frustrating because there's a player there and he can do it. It's just about getting the consistency out of him, and hopefully now this is a start of a run in the team, because he's going to get a game in that position unless we go and somehow manage to fluke signing Ahmad until Roberts is back. And he's got to basically show us now that he's ready to start consistently and contribute this season.
You know me, I'm not a data-led man. But I did see a good stat today about Abdullah, and I haven't double-checked it and triple-checked it. The person could be completely lying, but I think it probably works out. Outside of Jack Clark, I think he has got the most goal contributions per minute. I think he's got a goal contribution every 160 minutes that he's played, which I think is something like that. I'd have to check it, but it's really good. That's decent considering it feels like he's only played really well since he came on against we came on in the FA Cup. But yeah, I 100% agree. I think for me, the player I'm going to pick, I'll take this pick. So sorry, Brad and Leaf, I've taken your next pick. I think I speak about him every week. I thought Jack Clark was unplayable. I was speaking to some Stoke fans on the train back, and all they could say was, God, he's good. And it felt nice for people to be saying like our players were good again. I know we know he's good, but I thought today he was like frighteningly good. I love Gucci, which I've touched on before, and I've always felt that Gucci had enough to offer Sunderland, and we shouldn't have got rid of him. He made him look like a League One left back today. Right back, sorry. He had him on toast. He absolutely tortured him. And that's Clark, yeah, he's best. So for me, Jack Clark, 100%. Brad, I introduced you in this way, so I'm going to have to leave Lee last. He's not going to have a difficult choice, though. Plenty good performances today, but Roscoe's took Abdullah. I've took Jack. Who are you taking, Brad?
See, it's funny this, because in usual weeks I'm thinking I'm scraping the barrel on it. But for me, I'm going to go with someone I think I've heard a lot of people say was good, and that's Jensen Sealed. We all know how good defensively he is, and we say, look, he is a centre half playing out of position. But if you were watching him for the first time today, you wouldn't have thought that. You'd have thought he is a right back. His positional sense was really, really good, and I think that goes with what Ross said, where the two further forward a little bit more narrow, which allowed our fullbacks to get by them. Because going forward, he actually looked quite good as well. There's a couple of times he got down the wing and he's just putting balls in. His little flick over his head where he knocked himself out. I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, I just thought that was a really, really solid right back performance today. And I know people have obviously there's been a lot of talk and chat of saying, well, we should put him centre half and put O9 at right back or O9 into midfield and mix it up. But if Jensen Sale can play at that level of performance, there's only Pembele really who's going to come in at right back to take his place. And with how I've seen Sale play today, and I think what was the game before Rotherham where he played well? Was it Hull? Where he played quite well. Possibly, I think it was that one, but I'm getting more and more impressed with him, and I can start to see why he is so highly rated. He's a unit. He's a big lad, big boy. And if we do, I mean, Michael Beale said in previous weeks he might go to a back three at some point, and I think that's where we are starting to go. We will end up going with a back three, and he'll go to the right hand side of that, and I have no problem with that because I think he's really good. And I don't know what today as well. I think he just got a lot more confidence because he wasn't just going wide with the ball. It looks like when he gets the ball into his feet, he looks like he's gliding with it, and he was coming into the middle. Like we've seen what Trai Hmmm was doing earlier in the season, stepping into midfield and getting us forward. Yeah, I thought it was just an excellent performance from him. And look, he's worthy of his place.
Yeah, I thought Jensen was really good. And I've got to be honest and say that no matter where he's played, every time I've seen him, I've been really impressed. Thrown at the Wolves a little bit in the game he came on against Borough for his debut, but I think a lot of the time he's been good, and you can see he's growing in confidence. And the kid's very good at reading the game. I'd love to see him in centre half. Lee, we've took probably I think the top three performers there, but a lot of good performers today. Anyone that we've missed that you think deserves a shout?
I talk about him every single week, and he gets a little bit of unfair criticism. But I thought Dan Neil was fantastic today in the number 6 role.
He's never bad, is he?
Nah, he's an absolute exceptional footballer. He is. He's matured so much in a year. I was talking about the lads where I sit with, and he's not, when he's receiving the ball with his back to goal in our own final third off the centre backs, he's not doing these stupid stuff he was doing last year where he was like giving the ball away and he was giving free kicks away. And there's no surprise today due to the tactical tweak of putting Daniel in the number 6 that I released Pierre Ekwah, and Pierre Ekwah's had his best game in months. But I don't think Pierre Ekwah plays that well without Dan Neil playing as well as he did. And he is going to be some footballer. And he's fantastic. I think he can play as a 6 and an 8, but in the way we play, he suits playing better in the 6 than he does the number 8. And I thought he was brilliant today, Dan Neil.
I think you talk about leaders on the pitch as well, Lee. I know he's wore the armband once, but the way he plays is just like total leadership. I think there's a couple of shouts out as well. O9 clearing off the line first half. I think he didn't do too much wrong. I thought Trai Hmmm had a good game today, again out of position. I thought Ekwah was much improved. He's not a defensive midfielder for me. I've kind of dug him out a bit recently. I think it's quite obvious he's better further forward. And it would be wrong of me to say that Mason Burstow didn't have a good game today. He made the runs before his goal. His goal was a proper goal for a striker. There's no one at this football club that wants to see the strikers fail. We all want to see them succeed. And whilst I've not really been impressed by what Burstow's done prior, delighted that he got his goal. And I feel like I've gone through the full 11 here, but like Job deserves a shout as well. He's been looking like he needs a rest for a while, and he was really good today. I don't think there's anyone on that team. I've missed Ballard out and Pato. Ballard was brilliant today, I thought, as well. I thought the whole 11 was really good.
And Hume's tackles again. There was one in the first half where he stayed as the last man from a corner, and he just flew through there, lad. And I think that got the crowd up again. Hmmm was just Trai Hmmm again. Love the bloke.
Yeah, same. Absolutely adore him. Look, it was not all positive today, and we still have listener questions to come. The good, the bad, and the whom. I get the feeling this might go longer than half an hour. If you're listening to it, you can just check to see if this went longer than half an hour. At the moment, we don't know. But I said before, me and Brad had a Barney. It wasn't really a Barney, it was a discussion that we always have, like adults that we are. We're not, we're children. We're literally doing a podcast with 3 other men. I'm nearly 40, about another 11 men that kick a ball about a pitch. I'm a child. So, Alex Pritchard, the whole situation could have really derailed the day. I think we're all going to have different thoughts and views on this. I don't know this necessarily, but I think we will, just based on what people are chatting as they're going over the game, what's people said on Twitter and whatever social media platforms you use. But I'm going to go first, my opinion on it, and then I want to get like a quick snapshot of what your views are as well. But I'm actually really reluctant to criticize Alex Pritchard. I've got to be honest on that. And I know that's maybe not the popular opinion, but I've got to take the bullet for that and be honest. But I'll give you a bit of a thought process behind sort of why. I do see how people can be annoyed and frustrated by the fact he's basically said he isn't available to play when he's fit, because it's not a million miles different to what, say, Alex Neil did to us last year and going elsewhere when he's employed by the club, Jack Rodwell and all that kind of stuff. First and foremost, my thought process on that is like slightly different situations, especially in Jack Rodwell to Pritchard. However, we've only really heard the club side so far, and I have to be honest and say I'm not able at the moment to put my trust in Beale, Kill, Louis Dreyfus, Speakman, or the hierarchy after the sort of recent months. And I mean, choice of manager, the things that have come out in the press, the stuff they did with the club that we've gone over and over again. I don't need to talk about it. So I think in this case, I'm not saying Alex Pritchard's right. I'm not saying the club's right. What I'd like to do is I'd like to think it's only fair that I hear Alex Pritchard's side and get a clearer picture of what has happened here in both sides of the argument, and then give an opinion on it. But I'm aware some people may have already made their opinion on it, be it either way. So I've gone in this order first and foremost. Ross, I've given my thoughts on the Pritchard situation. Where do you stand on it? Are you similar to me in that you want to hear Pritchard's side, or do you think differently?
I think I can sympathise with him on the fact that he clearly wanted to leave in the summer. The club basically replaced him with 2 number 10s, 3 number 10s of your class. The forgotten man, Bradley Dack, with Alshish and Job. And then he stayed. He didn't really get much game time from Mowbray, let's be honest. So if he goes to Birmingham, I'll be even more flabbergasted about the whole situation. And then he has started. They were still not going to offer him a deal, and then they seem to have offered him a deal last minute. So if he wanted to leave, which it sounds like he did in the summer, going off what Nick Barnes is saying, then fair enough. I think we should have let him. If we said we can let him go this summer, and we're not going to offer him a deal that's better and he can get that any elsewhere, then I think fair enough. The club should probably say, yeah, leave. But I also do think that you're under contract to Sunday SC. You're preaching that you would have stayed if he was given a better deal. According to Sky sources, that's what he's saying. That's what his agent or him's telling us. So again, it's mixed messages, but I think he would have had a lot more sympathy from the whole fan base if he put 100%. To me, he's on a contract with Sunday SC for the next 6 months, no matter what, unless we get rid of him in January. So if he's fit, he should be playing today, in my opinion. He should be at least in the squad. I feel it's a bit of a red mark on his name, and Pritchard's always give 100% for Sunderland. He's always done really well, but I can see people's annoyance at him, and I kind of did feel a bit annoyed today because I was thinking like, when we're in a rut, the fans have never, like, you know what I mean, on the field, the fans have never once criticised Alex Pritchard really, and they've always given him 100% support. And I just think it's in football in general. If you're under contract, it's okay to express your will to leave, but you can never refuse to play if you're fully fit and able to do, in my opinion. I think that's just a personal view on football. I think it will just depend on what people think about that. But yeah, it's either way, it's a mess from both sides now, and it's probably best. It's best. I think it's probably best for the club, best for Alex Pritchard, best for everyone now that he leaves before Wednesday. and we used his departure and wages, whatever money we get for him, to then strengthen the areas where we need to. Because today we looked good with Job in the 10, Battery and Ekwah further forward. And if it means a run in the team for Bar, when Roberts is back as well, you've got two wingers. I think, as much as I really like Pritchard, and I think his experience was massive for us in games we've seen recently, as long as experience or ready-made players are brought in, I think it's time to go for both sides, and nobody comes out of it looking well at the end of the day.
Brad, obviously, we discussed it when it first happened and it first came out, and I know at the time I think we're both the same, Brad, and we're both quite passionate, hot-headed people sometimes that give our opinion straight off the bat. You've had a few hours to sit down, think about it. Has your opinion differed on it? And if not, what are your thoughts? Because obviously not everyone's privy to our WhatsApp conversations, and I'm talking like they are, which is kind of not really the greatest thing from my side, is it? But there you
go. My opinion's pretty much the same, mate. Following the news, I listened to Nick on BBC, and said basically that he'd asked to leave in the summer. That didn't materialise. I think that's because no one was willing to come in and pay the money that we'd have probably asked. We weren't willing to let him go for free. And look, there was a couple of players like Danny Bart. We still got a little fee for him, and I think no one was willing to pay, so he stayed. Like what said there, the fans have always got behind him. There was a point where he wasn't even in the team, and we're in a little bit of a rut. And I think he was on the bench, and we're all singing his name. And then he came on, and he knew how much the fans thought of him. So to then say he's not available for selection, he wants to leave, stinks for me. Like, I get it. Players put transfer requests in. Players say that they want to move on. That's fine. But respect the contract that you've got with the club that have been paying your wages on a contract that you have signed. He hasn't, like, it's not like we've stopped paying his wages or like that. He's agreed to this contract for this length of time. Look, tell them yesterday, look, I want to leave, mate, this is my last game or whatever. If you can get us a move, just let us move. But to then refuse to play and drop us in it, really, because he's meant to be one of the experienced players around the place as well. So that's a young squad looking at one of the more senior players who's basically just shit on them the day before a game. Leaves a sour taste for me. I did say it's, for me, very similar to the Alex Neil thing. You're employed by a club, and there's no reason why you can't be there on match day to offer your services. But then what you're saying, Graham, that there is two sides to it. But what can he say that's going to make you think, oh well, he's in the right? He's refused to play a game of football for the team that employ him, and the fans that pay money to go and watch him. So I can't understand. We have spoken in the group chat, and we're just going over ground. But what can he say to come out now and say that would make you think, actually, yeah, that's fine? Because nothing he can say for me would make me accept the fact he's refused to play a game of football for the team that currently employ him.
I don't know what he could say, but I'd like to hear what his viewpoints are. And I don't want to assume anything, but there's a lot of pressure on professional footballers, and especially ones that are like don't know where the future is. And I'm not saying this isn't, I don't know, but I don't know if like the pressure's got to the point where, his mental health doesn't feel great or something along that line. I think we've seen him gesticulate and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that. It might just be a case of he just didn't want to play because he's just pissed off with the hierarchy. And if that's the case, then okay. And I'm summarizing, but I think this is why I just want to hear what his thought process was behind why he felt he couldn't be available to play for the club, whatever it may be. And then I think you make the decision from there. I think I'm a big Pritchard fan as a person that's played for the club. He got the assist at Wembley for Roscoe's goal. I'm a big fan of him. I think I always knew that his time was coming to an end. I think if it's just a case of he wanted to get a move, so he's just decided not to play, and that is his reason behind it, yeah, I can probably edge a little bit more towards.
He's got history for it. There's a reason the Huddersfield fans boo him.
Yeah.
Down to for them.
I think I want to hear first and foremost his thought process behind it before I make any judgment on anyone's character. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. That's just where I'm at with it. And I think a lot of that also comes down to the fact that I'm based in what's happened recently, not 100% certain I can trust anyone that would be in a position of giving their part of the story so far. But we're going to go through listeners' questions, good and a bad and a but I don't want Lee not to have his say on this as well, because it is an important thing. It's something that we couldn't just ghost over in the podcast. So just before we go into the second part here, Lee, where are you sort of standing on this Pritchard thing? Because there's three fairly differing opinions. Maybe Brad and Ross agreeing with each other a little bit, but differing even there. It's going to create a lot of different opinions. What's yours?
It just puts an asterisk on your Sunderland career. I mean, he was a very, very important part of us getting out of League One. Then you could arguably say, especially towards the back end of last season, he was a very, very important part of us getting in at the playoffs. And yes, we only offer him a 1-year extension, which from a business side you'd understand. And you don't really blame anyone if he's getting offered double his money in Turkey on a two and a half year contract. You don't blame him for doing that, but you do it in the right manner. But what's in the back of my mind is, what happens if this all falls through? What happens if he's moved to Birmingham falls through? What happens if he's moved to Turkey falls through? Does that mean he's not going to play for the club for 6 months? You do things in the right way. We've had players before who haven't wanted to be or have got moves lined up. The most obvious one in back of my head is Darren Bent or Aston Villa. And he never refused to play for the club. He played against the Mags on the Sunday, like not very well. But he still put his boots on, went on the pitch and played. And you've had past experiences of when we've turned down big money moves for previous players. Looks like Phillips with Leeds and Jones with Liverpool, and we've never, ever, ever. They've never refused to play for the club, and you should never refuse to play for your football club you're contracted by. Because at the end of the day, if we all went to work and we went, oh, can you match this money that we're getting elsewhere? And they turn around and go, and well, I'm not going to come into work tomorrow. You'd get the sack. I know football's different, but I don't know. It leaves me with, like, there's this question I say, what happens if this all falls through? Like, what happens if it all falls through? Does he just refuse to play for the club for 6 months, or does he come back with his tail between his legs and go, sorry? Because you're never going to hear the full truth regardless. There's going to be a lot of things that even up between the club side and Pritchard's side, but there's going to be a lot of grey areas where the club will twist their side of the truth and Pritchard will probably end up twisting his side of the truth. I just don't know. Refusing to play for the club doesn't sit right with me, but I also don't blame him for wanting more money elsewhere on a more long-term contract, especially being at the age of 30, with the stage of his career he's at.
Yeah. Different opinions. I think a lot of people think different things, but we're going to go into listeners' questions because some really good ones, funny ones. I've enjoyed the snail question last week. I know you're here for the footy chat, but you're going to get the silly question chat a bit as well. But catch you after the break. There'll be the good, the bad, and a 5-10 minutes worth of listeners' questions to extend it a little bit. Thanks as always for listening so far. See you in a bit. Hello and welcome back to part 2. I'm going to pretend we've not just had a 5-minute interlude discussing the scent of our own backsides after we've ate protein and similar levels of different foods that make us smell like something has died inside of us. And we're going to move on to football-related questions. Brilliant. Something that we've been doing for a while and we've enjoyed it. So we'll pick a couple out because there were some good ones. We'll put a couple of silly ones in there as well. It's good for a laugh. I know sometimes people just like footy questions, and that's fine if you do, but you know, we do loads of footy stuff in here as well, and sometimes we just like to have a laugh. Ross, I'll fire one at you. This is a pretty good question, I think. There's a fair few ones that have been good, but I do particularly like this one. What is the worst style choice you've ever made outside of obviously what you're wearing right now?
Oh, I don't know. I've had some shockers. Infamously with my friends. I once when I was like 17, 18, got like a full like brown shirt with a black leather jacket and wore that to the races. And looking back at it, I look like if you got John Wayne off Wish. So I'd say that's probably the worst style choice I ever made. Um, I also thought I was cool back in the day and had like some grey Nike high tops. Remember high tops?
Yeah.
And I used to tuck my chinos into them, thinking and walk around thinking I looked mint. And I was tragic, like.
I've had a lot, and there's absolutely no chance I'm going in at any of them. But I think you've only got to look at this, and you can completely understand the absolute horrific style that I've had. So we'll move on very fast. Brad, I thought this question was decent to be honest, and thought out as well. I don't know whether I don't even know if he's indicating this, but if he's I'll ask the question. You know what, bugger it. First and foremost, and this isn't to gaslight our fan base as emotions run high. I've just been brought up to look at myself first when the shit hits the fan and ask myself, could I be doing better? Could the fans have behaved better since Beale's appointment?
That's actually quite a good question.
And the way he's put it across is actually really smart, and I think it's from John. I think it's good that.
Yeah, fair play, John. Um, Possibly. I think I don't know. People had an already like the oh man, how do I word it?
You can't take the passion out of something that you obsess over. Like I said before, I know I made a joke, but like I'm nearly 40 and I talk about 11 men running about on the pitch and get myself like in a fettle about it and get myself like super happy when we just put the white thing in the net. And I know football's so much more than that. I know it's so much more than that. But like I do it and we do it and people listen to this and people listen to other podcasts and people go at the match because you care so much. And when you feel like someone's like really disrespecting you, you get really annoyed at that thing. And like I still haven't let go of the David Moyes level of disrespect. And he's probably the only manager that I've felt similar with since we've had him, Beale to Moyes. And I guess so. I guess I know what he means. Like, could we be less? Could we talk about his? I know there's comments about like he's mole and all that kind of stuff, and I do kind of get that, but I think it's all born in passion and stuff, and maybe we should just comment on the things he says and the things he does. But I think a lot of people do. But I think it's a really good question. It's tied. It's probably quite easy to tie up and not trying to answer it. I think the answer is
Yeah,
maybe a bit.
yeah. People have prejudged him, look, because either he's an unknown or they're saying that he failed at Rangers where really he shouldn't have failed because he had a good side there ultimately because it
Mhm.
proves like. But in my eyes, from how I prejudged him, obviously we know me and you follow Rangers, so we knew what he was all about. Um, but I think a lot of it for me comes from the fact, and I was staunch about it. I didn't want rid of Tony Mowbray.
Yeah,
So unless it was a big name for me, I think I was going to feel a little bit meh. And I think when he first got appointed, Graham, I did say, well, he's here now. Let's just give him a bit of a chance. And then I think it's just all sort of like it didn't look like it was getting any better, and it snowballed. And then his comments and things like that, and it's sort of like I jumped on the bandwagon. I was sort of like, what once you've gone there as a staunch Beale outer, as we're known as, it's sort of hard to sort of go, oh, actually, are we taking this a bit far? You just got to stick at it. But I agree with you, people. You're always entitled to your opinion in football, but it's how you put it across. And I mean, I said it on BBC Newcastle the other night, didn't I? I think a lot of it is because he's came in and no one wanted him, and it's coincided with the whole carry on with the Black Cats bar and the Mags game, and there's a lot of frustration built up, and it's just been all directed at him.
I think he's also said stuff like the outside noise comment is, for me, really offensive. I don't think I've read somewhere during the week from someone that wasn't a Sunderland fan that it appears we jump on everything he says and nothing he can say is right. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's correct. I think we listen to what he's saying and can understand what he's getting at, and it's bloody annoying. To me, the answer's, I said before, maybe a little bit. I think actually, no. I think fans are entitled to be as passionate as they can be. I think maybe, the comments on his maul and stuff like that. But I call Ross a bald shite. I don't mean it. Like, he's a bad guy because of it and that kind of thing. And maybe we should be better at that if we're going to go into a really deep sort of chat here. I feel like we're going probably far too deep into it. But I do think Beale has made a rod for his own back with a lot of things that he said. I don't think he's been helped by what's happened with the club, but I don't feel like he's separate from the problems. I feel like he has been part of it. Which brings me to another good question, Lee, before we go into a massive therapy session about how words can hurt and why we react the way we do to things. A bit more of a football related question here. How many games does Beale need to win to turn the fans back around? 100.
Just keep winning the next one. That's what I'm going to go with. Because there's no point putting a number on it. Because he's been compared to him. Phil Parkinson had that very, very good run when he stumbled across our 3-4-3 system, which ultimately saved his job for that season, and he came back the season after, and we all know how that went. As long as I think it's the matter of performances, because we like I'll say our team win, but we don't expect to win every week. We're realists, we're passionate. We want our teams to play well, but we're realists. You can't win every single week. As long as the performances are fine, and you see the team trying to get on the front foot, and he packs in his gobshite antics and what he says in his post-match, in press conferences and all that type of stuff, and we pick up when we do well and we get ourselves in the playoffs, I think fans not exactly turn around and go, oh, he's the man for the future, but maybe he's give him a little bit of the respect that he is demanding, if that makes sense. But you can't really put a number on how many games you can win, because you can go and win 10 games, we go get the next 10 games, go and get beaten in the playoffs, come back in August, and it could be as equally as bad as what the last month's been. Then fans will just turn right back on themselves again.
I think the answer, I'll keep to that one really simple, because I thought about that when I read the question on the train on the way back. What Michael Beale needs to do as a whole, today's a very good blueprint if you can do that on a regular basis. If you can put in that kind of performance, give that kind of post-match interview, then it'll go a long way if you can do that.
I'd agree with that.
I can take not winning. That's not a bother. It annoys the life out of me, but I can handle it. I'm a Sunderland fan. We can all handle that. We've got character in abundance. What we don't like is being talked down to, being told what we think and how we're acting. Work with us, not against us, because we're much better together as a weapon, as opposed to being against us. And I think today, if I'm looking at it in total isolation, and I'm certainly not a Beale inner, and I certainly don't think this has made my mind up, but to answer that particular question, get your team performing like you did today on a more regular basis. Whether you win the game, whether you lose the game, whether you draw the game, give us some sort of style, an understanding of what we're doing, and then in your post-match press conference, speak the way you did today. And I think that will go a heck of a long way to fixing a lot of the issues that he personally has faced. The rest of the outside noise, i.e. not the fans, the stuff that's happening within the club, he can't handle that. That's not up to him. And that is outside noise. And I can appreciate that that's not something he can handle. He's just there to do a job. So the answer to that question for me is, and I don't mean winning, but a lot more of today, performance-wise, and also in the way that he spoke after the game. That'll help.
Yeah, I mean, mine, just quickly jump in there. I think I've just put in the group as well. I think for me, to get a lot of fans, not everyone, back on side, would be to get us into the top 6 as soon as possible and keep us there rather than just dropping in and out. I think you'll see a lot. Look, we might drop into 7th because of a game being played before ours because we're always getting changed to flipping Sunday dinner time, aren't we? But if he can get us into the playoffs and then on a good run to keep us there, I mean, playing some good football, Beal Madrid, we might be all right.
There's actually the police outside, and that's them coming for. I don't know whether everyone can hear this, but they're coming for your horrendous pun there. We've got 2 more. I'll give one to you, Ross, and then actually no, we'll go with this one more because I think this is probably quite important. We haven't touched on it, so no pressure, Ross. And then we'll go into the good, the bad, and the and then I want you all to make one transfer prediction for a player that we're going to bring in before the deadline window. We're going to try and do deadline day part. I'm not going to promise anything because you never know what's going to happen, but we would like to do it if we can. But Ross, I think this is a really good question from the German Black Cats. Great set of blokes, Martin and all that. Lovely people. What do you think about the meeting between Sunderland, the Black Cats, the branch liaison committee and Red and White Army and the meeting minutes? Do you think it is acceptable, Ross, the way that when you read it, was it acceptable to you?
The opening statement by the Red and White Army was fantastic.
Superb.
Absolutely superb. I think there probably's at this moment in time there's only so much Red and White Army can do apart from put the questions to the club and those involved. What I will say is now we have now got it in writing that they are going to do things or change things, and it's now up to the club. And if the club don't do it, then they've went against what they've promised or said they would do to the fans. So it's still wide open for me. I think the Red and White Army have been probably pushed aside by the club and just used as push-offs at times. But I thought the questioning was very good. It was very strategic. It put them in a position where they couldn't just go and fob it off. They had to, and the answers they basically have got to go back it up. They can't just get away with it this time. So we want to keep an eye on. But also, I'm glad the club didn't just fob it off because it could have been quite easy for them to fob it off the way they've done things lately. So at least the club have actually went to these meetings and had the dialogue, and they have themselves have put themselves up to say, look, this is going to happen. This is under investigation, whatever. Again, it could be interpreted as a lot of waffle and a lot of just appeasing the fans. But now it's in black and white. Ironically, so is the Black Cat Bar, you bastards.
I'm gonna say, mate, you set that up absolutely perfectly, but didn't even mean to do it.
It's minuted that actions are going to be taken, so it's up to the club now. You know what I mean? If they don't, then more than serious questions will be asked, and that's when I think it'll turn. But it's just a wait and see until the next meeting or whenever it is. But at least it's now in writing that things are going to be looked into. Lol. But yeah, it's up to the club now. Prove it. Actions speak louder than words.
I think people are probably sick of me saying this, but just before we move on to the good, the bad, and I just cannot forgive what they did. I cannot, and I've tried to move on with it, and I just can't. And I don't think. And I think reading the minutes, a lot of it felt like didn't matter what it was going to say to me. I couldn't forgive them for that. And for me, a lot of the answers from the club are wishy-washy. But let's look for positives, as this one's trying to be a bit more positive. I thought the opening statement and the questions from everyone involved that wasn't on the club side and trying to push these questions forward did as best as they possibly could. And I really thank them for doing that because I'd rather it would be difficult for me to do it without wanting to tear strips off them, and they've put it across in a really good way. But for me, I cannot forgive what happened. And I know people might disagree with me on that and say, get over it, stop being a baby. I'm sorry, I just can't. And it's going to stay that way, I think. The good, the bad, and the from a win, though, because let's not have no negativity as much as we can on this one. Good win, very, very happy. So I'll go with my good first. And then I'll make a transfer prediction at the end with all of us, one player that we think we'll bring in. My good today is going to be Mason Burstow. He's a player that I genuinely thought probably wasn't that bothered about being here. Didn't think he was ever going to score a goal. I thought he played really well. Thought he took his goal really well. Showed that there's something there. Maybe why we brought him in the summer. But the big thing for me, and the reason he's going to be my good, is the way he celebrated. That was proper passion. That was relief, but also I'm delighted that we won and he scored. And I like that. I just like that. It's a simplistic thing, but I'm a fan of it. Ross, what was your good today?
My good today was Pierre Ekwah playing as an advanced midfielder and showing us what he can do when he's not pigeonholed as a number 6 and seeing that lovely little bow that he does when he scores. I like that. I'd like to see that more.
Brad?
My good was seeing Chrissy Rigg come back into the first team and getting a run out. And I'd only said it about, must have been about a minute or two before the guy next to me. I think this is the perfect time to bring Rigg on. Not like when he came on against Southampton and it was 4-0 or whatever. It's 3-1, was comfortable. Get him in, it's a little bit more competitive for him. And I think these first few touches, he got us on the break really quick. Him and Jack Clark linked up. So I think, seeing Chrissy Rigg back out there, and I think we might start seeing a lot more of him now.
Yeah, good point. Please mentioned it. Did want to mention it before, so I'm happy with that.
Another off the thing, good one quickly. I don't know if you've seen at the end, but it was fantastic. The only save Anthony apart from the save first half, the biggest save he had to make was when referee blew the full time whistle and Dan Ballard volleyed one at him from about 3 yards and he tipped it over the bar. What a save that was, by the way.
Reactionary, always alert. Lee, what was your good?
After the last 2 or 3 games, the fluidity and the speed of where we attacked Stoke, and I thought it was a massive change what's come the last 3 weeks, and long may it continue.
What's my bad? Hard to choose this week, and I like that. Oh yeah, me bet missed out by 1 yellow card. I mean, that's crap, isn't it? You don't want that. I got everything right, but I missed out by 1 yellow card. So I cashed out, but I got like 130. And that was only because Ballard got that booking at the end, which I still don't know if it means he's suspended or not. Ross, what's your bad?
How we played against a team who literally couldn't score in a brothel with a diamond cock, and then we managed to gift them a goal with just an absolute calamity of lack of communication. So, yeah, just really annoying that we didn't get the clean sheet and that was the way we conceded it.
I forgot about that. Brad, what was your bad? That's poet, and I didn't know it.
Seeing Lyndon Gooch in a different strip to Sunderland.
Yeah.
That like I know he had a honker, but that broke my heart. Just seeing him playing for a different team just didn't feel right. I thought it was a bit shit.
Yeah, just odd.
Love Gooch.
I think he should have just been in the stands with us, to be fair to him. Lee, what was your bad? We've took all the good bads that were available. I think the good bads. What am I talking about?
There's one more. And it's been picky because I thought they were all right today. But how the linesman couldn't give a corner when Pierre Ekwah had that shot in the first half when he had an open goal and it clearly hit the Stoke player and went out for a corner and he gave a goal kick. after standing there for 30 seconds and watching the whole thing and still give a goal kick. And he knew he'd been knocked up because I've never seen an assistant referee run for that far back down the line as much as he did after he gave his decision.
Maybe
He
that Port
took
Vale
off
fan
because
was chasing him.
He knew the stick he was going to get. So he just darted off back to the half, really.
If anyone hasn't seen the Port Vale fan chasing the referee yet, like, it's horrendous, but also kind of shouldn't be funny. Like, it's bad. Look, I know we grief refs all the time, like, but don't chase after them. If anyone's listening, don't chase after a ref because it's just
Graham,
poor.
we'd have no supporters left in the ground if after every bad refereeing decision we had a fan chasing after the ref.
I just want someone to. I just want
It's
someone
the
to like.
commentator for me. It's the commentator. There's a fan on the pitch. He's chasing the ref. There's a fan on the pitch.
Somebody's put the Benny Hill theme tune on it as well, and it's outstanding.
I want someone to dub it with, Monty Python. Run away, run away, run away. Anyway, my is probably a bit of an obvious one, but today's felt good. Like, this has been a good podcast. I've enjoyed it. It's been cathartic in a way that I maybe didn't expect when I went to the game this morning and got up at 6:30 and questioned my life decisions. But this has got to continue. I don't know if this is a one-off. And my inkling says it is a one-off, and Stoke were actually maybe just really bad. And we took advantage of it. So there's a big question mark, which is a in itself, over whether this is just a stay of execution before it goes back to what it's been like recently. But I hope not. I hope not. Ross, what was yours?
A bit on the same lines. Just worried about how many chances we conceded today, even though, we did create a lot of chances ourselves. We're desperate for that midfielder just to give the team a bit more protection. And yeah, so that was my the amount of chances we managed to give away to a team that, let's be honest, weren't that great, I don't think. So yeah, we need to. We can't be doing that against Borough, let's be honest, because they'll punish us.
Brad, yours?
Hmm.
What I'm asking for.
Yeah. I don't really think I have one. Maybe it's what is going to be Timothée Pembele's role in the team. It's like he played a full near enough a full half at Rotherham. And he's just sort of been in and out, but like when I've seen him, I've not really been blown away by him. I just don't know what he's going to bring. Look, it's early to judge. It's barely to judge, but I'm sort of like,
He's just there, isn't he? At the minute.
yeah. He's not going to displace Hume or Seal in current form. It's just sort of like, you're there. If they get injured, right, we'll see what you're about. But
I think 1 week we've got to have our as Trai Hmmm. Yeah, I'm sorry. Lee, what's your Trai Hmmm?
It's kind of what like Brad said there. It's like, if Dan Ballard is suspended for next week, do you bring in a quite clearly not fit Timothy Pembele in at right back and move Sale across the centre back? Or do you bring in Trai Hmmm? Is mine.
Completely forgot that he was a thing. I completely forgot that we've got an Australian centre half that just kicking about on the bench all the time. Pleased you mentioned it, and I'll remember he exists. Hope you're well, Nick. Miss you from the Birmingham game. 1 goal more than Hamir this season. I know. Transfer prediction before we go. Longer one than I expected tonight, but that's all right. I want you to pick one player that's going to come in, one player that's going to leave. I'll start with one player I think is going to come in. I think we will sign Kiefer Moore. I think we'll push the ball out. I think he'll come in. I'd be really surprised unless the injury, because he's got a problem with his knee. I'd be really surprised if Mateta doesn't move out. either permanently or on loan. I don't think he's McBeal's kind of player. I think he's not going to get a chance at the club. I think there's an argument to say we've outgrown him a tad. I think he'll go out and there is interest in him from clubs you might expect. Ross, what's your transfer in and transfer out?
Transfer in. I just have a suspicion that we'll go for that. I forgot his name. Is it Rasuki or something from Palace? Because we were interested in. We were interested in him in the summer. He's a winger. We're clearly looking at a winger if we're wanting to look at Ahmad come back. He isn't getting in the Palace team, and it's one that I think could potentially revisit. So something like that. I forgot his name, but he was brilliant at Charlton, wasn't he? So he's
Raksaki.
Raksaki, that's a guy. And my prediction for leaving is Hmmm will join some Portuguese Premier League team on loan.
Brad, what's yours?
I have to pick one because I had two. I'm going to remain positive. We'll get Ahmad back. I'm going to put some positivity in there. My other one's more realistic, but I'll leave it. And I think Hmmm will go out on loan because he's one for the future apparently, and he might come good, but he is not going to get any better. Sat picking splinters out of his ass.
No, he's not. Lee, final word. Who's you definitely going to come in, and who's you most likely going to go out?
Like Brad, I've got two, but I'm going to go with the adventurous one. I think we'll get Sydney Van Hooydonk on loan from Bologna.
Ooh.
Fabrizio Romano put out that Bologna are looking to loan him out because they bought two strikers. And we were interested in the summer, so it might be possibly something we revisit. And my out, probably more wishful thinking than actual thingy, but I think Bradley Dack will end up going somewhere else.
There is interest in him. His hamstring's going to keep him out for a while, whether or not. Because I think he might have been gone by now if it wasn't for the injury. But that injury is worse than I think a normal hamstring. Because of course it is. Like he's obviously got injury issues, so I think any knock he gets tends to be 6 weeks rather than 2 weeks. But
how annoying is it though that like out of all of the players Mowbray got in and inherited, that he wants to take Pritchard back and we're left with fucking Bradley Dack's one hamstring? Like it's shit, innit? It's kind of how we're looking at it though.
It's on telly though. Like, popular? No. I believe in Bradley Dack. I'm going to put it out there. I believe.
Surely Olivia Atwood has enough money just to pay him off, so we can to keep him going, so we can just pay off his contract and just.
Me and Bradley Dack will always have Southampton. Right?
I taught you when he signed. I said he's always only ever going to be the second best Bradley inside that stage of my life.
On that note, your light's just gone off, by the way. That was quite hilarious at the exact same time. Another long episode. Something's never boring. It's nicer though when we're boring and got 3 points in the bag. Let's hope that continues next week. Let's hope that today's podcast, today's performance from the lads and everything that was today is a regular thing, not a flash in the pan. And if it's not, and if it is, we'll be about either way. Go on, subscribe if you really, really want to. But just unsubscribe if you think this episode's been shite. I cannot just be positive, can I? Anyway, lads, thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Be out.
Thank you, everyone.